You wake up with a splitting headache. You pop an ibuprofen, drink some water, and move on with your life.
Total time invested, maybe 45 seconds.
Now imagine waking up with that same headache 50,000 years ago.
No pills, no pharmacy, no doctor.
No internet to self-diagnose yourself with 17 different rare diseases.
Just you, the pain, and a cave full of people equally clueless. Here is the thing nobody really thinks about.
Humanity didn't have modern medicine for 99.9% of its existence.
And yet somehow, against genuinely ridiculous odds, we survived. Long enough to invent hospitals, antibiotics, and the ability to complain.
So how did ancient humans actually do it? How did they treat injuries, disease, infections, broken bones, childbirth,
And every other biological catastrophe the human body is capable of producing?
With absolutely nothing we would recognize as medicine today.
The answer is stranger, more impressive, and honestly more disturbing. Because it turns out, ancient humans weren't just bumbling around. They were experimenting, observing, and developing real medical knowledge.
Thousands of years before anyone thought to write it down.
And some of what they discovered, we are still using it right now.
This morning, in your medicine cabinet.
This is the story of how humanity figured out healthcare.
Let's start at the very beginning.
Which, in this case, is somewhere around 2 million years ago.
When our ancestors were still more interested in not getting eaten. Then in developing a healthcare system. Early hominids almost certainly relied on the same basic instincts.
Every animal does when injured or sick. Rest, lick wounds, avoid food, seek warmth.
Watch a dog after surgery, and you are basically watching a behavioral blueprint. These aren't learned behaviors. They are biological defaults.
And they work, at least for minor problems.
But here is where things get interesting.
Somewhere along the line, our ancestors started doing something no other animal does. They started deliberately using plants. We know this because chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, already do it.
Chimps have been observed seeking out and consuming specific plants when sick. Plants they don't normally eat and clearly don't enjoy eating. They will swallow rough leaves that physically scrape parasites from their intestinal walls.
They will chew bitter pith from trees that contain compounds toxic to the exact parasites affecting them. They are not doing this for the taste. They are doing it because it works.
And somehow, they figured that out.
If chimps have this ability, there is every reason to believe early hominids had it too. In fact, they probably had it better because humans have something chimps don't. The ability to share information across generations. Introducing the new Mega Stack notebooks. Perfect for all your educational needs. Which means the very first medicine wasn't invented. It was noticed. And then remembered. And then passed on. That distinction matters more than it sounds.
An animal that eats a plant and feels better has a useful behavior.
A human who eats a plant feels better and then tells everyone else about it. As the beginning of a medical tradition. One observation, shared at the right moment, could save dozens of lives.
Over the following generation.
And those people would share it with the next generation. And on, across thousands of years. Books are the gateway to knowledge, and here we see the collective wisdom of the ages, waiting to be explored. One observation, shared at the right moment, could save dozens of lives.
Now brace yourself, because what comes next is one of the most extraordinary discoveries.
in the entire history of archaeology.
In 2023, researchers working in a cave in Borneo found something that stopped them cold.
They were examining a skeleton dating back approximately 31,000 years.
And this skeleton was missing part of its left leg. Not because it was lost over time, because it had been surgically amputated.
The cut was clean.
The bone had regrown around the wound, which means the patient didn't die immediately.
They survived. A surgical amputation performed 31,000 years ago.
Before agriculture, before writing, before anything we associate with civilization.
Let that sink in for a second.
Someone, 300 centuries ago, looked at a person with a severely damaged leg and thought, "We need to cut this off."
And then they did it. And the patient lived, probably for years afterward, in a jungle, on one leg, in the Stone Age.
This discovery completely rewrote what scientists thought they knew about prehistoric medicine. Before this find, the oldest confirmed surgical amputation was a few thousand years old. Someone, 300 centuries ago, looked at a person with a severely damaged leg and thought, "We need to cut this off."
With stone tools, with apparent success. And this wasn't a one-off.
Across archaeological sites worldwide, we find skulls with holes in them.
Carefully drilled, shaped holes. Not from violence, but from a surgical procedure called trepanation,
which involves removing a section of the skull.
Presumably to relieve pressure, treat seizures, or address head injuries.
The really wild part, a significant number of the patients survived.
We know because the bone grew back around the holes.
People had brain surgery in the Stone Age, with flint